You know the feeling. You come home and immediately you scan the room. Are they in a good mood? Are they quiet again? Is today one of those days? You adjust your tone, you soften your words, you keep things light. You're not in a relationship. You're definitely in a performance at this point. Because somewhere along the way, love stopped being safe and started feeling like a balancing act where one wrong word could knock everything over. And this is what walking on eggshells really looks like. You rehearse before speaking. You downplay your feelings so they don't take it the wrong way. You manage their moods like it's your job. You tiptoe, you adapt, you accommodate, and still you end up in conflict. So you tell yourself, maybe I just say it better next time. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm the problem. And here's the truth. You're not too much. You're just with someone who gives you too little safety. So let's look at why this pattern forms. And let's call it what it is. Emotional control disguised as connection. There are two ways it happens. Fear of upsetting them becomes stronger than your need to be honest. They've trained you, whether intentionally or not, to avoid the truth, because the price of honesty is their mood, their silence, and their withdrawal. So now you edit, filter, sugarcoat your truth just to keep the day running smoothly. Your nervous system is always in prediction mode. You don't just listen to what they say, you listen to how they breathe, how they move, how long they stare at their phone. You're on high alert 24/7, and that's not love. That's definitely survival mode. So the signs are subtle but serious. You wait to see what mood they're in before you say anything important. Is it the right time? You constantly think, I don't want to make things worse. You reward yourself for not starting anything today. You feel exhausted after even short conversations. And then you feel like you're the problem for just wanting emotional safety. So let me tell you something that might sting a little, but will also set you free. If you're doing more emotional labour than actually connecting, it's most definitely not love. It's most definitely endurance. And love should never feel like a punishment that you have to survive. Love is not supposed to feel like fear. Real love is a space where truth can breathe. It's where you can be upset and still feel safe. It's where you can be wrong and not be humiliated for it. When love becomes something you have to tiptoe around, it stops being real. Because how can you build intimacy with someone you're afraid to be authentic around and to communicate with? So let's look at why you stay. Because you don't realise how heavy the eggshells are until you step off them. You get used to the quiet tension, used to the mood swings, used to always adjusting yourself. And you tell yourself, this is just how they are. They don't mean it. Things aren't that bad. But those thoughts are the glue that's keeping you stuck in a system where your comfort always comes second to theirs. And here's the hard truth. If you're not free to be emotionally real, you're not in a relationship. You're just managing someone else's dysfunction. This pattern usually has roots. You didn't wake up one day and decide to shrink. You were taught. Maybe you had parents whose love was conditional. Maybe you were praised for being easygoing, good, uncomplicated. Maybe you learnt that anger equals disconnection, and now you're in a dynamic where keeping quiet feels like the only way to be loved. But silence isn't safety, it's a slow leak of self-respect. And eventually, you don't just walk on eggshells, you become one. You're fragile, you're cracked, you're scared, to break. So let's look at what you can do now. This isn't about confrontation, it's actually about liberation. And here's your roadmap back to the emotional truth. Let's call it out for what it is. Suppression, not peace. Say it out loud. I'm always managing their emotions and ignoring mine. Peace that depends on your silence is not peace, it's pressure. And ask yourself, what happens when I'm real with them? Do they get defensive? Do they punish you with silence? Do they accuse you of drama? Your truth deserves better reception than that. So set a new rule and go, I'm allowed to fully exist. That means being upset, needing clarity, saying no. And if your relationship punishes you for having normal emotions, then the issue definitely isn't you, it's the environment and the person that you're with and in. Start small, but start a statement like, I've been holding back a lot just to keep things calm. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells lately, and that's not okay. Or, I want to feel safe being honest with you, not scared. Then watch their response. Do they lean in or do they shut you down? Their reaction is your roadmap. And in my closing comments, love that silence you isn't love, it's emotional obedience. You were not put on this earth to be someone's peacekeeper. You were made to be full spectrum human, messy, honest, strong, vulnerable, and clear. So if your love story reads like a script you didn't write, you're shrinking daily just to keep someone else stable and happy. It's time to choose a new role. The one where you get to be seen, not just tolerated. Where you get to speak, not just guess what's safe. Because love should never feel like walking on eggshells. It should feel like coming home to yourself, in the presence of someone who lets you be all of you.